Hi, welcome to Made with Love by Daisy. In this video, I will be showing you how to make this gown and shoes for Chelsea. In case you are not familiar with basic crochet stitches, please head over to my beginner crochet lessons. You can find them here. I will also leave the link in the description box. I will be using the following supplies: anchor knitting cotton in a color of your choice. Any crochet cotton size 10 would work. I will be using a 1.5 mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, yarn needle. You'll need buttons or fastening of your choice. I will also be using some white seed beads for some detailing. This is optional, and in case you're using beads, you would also need a beading needle depending on the size of your seed beads. And you will also need either sewing thread and needle to sew on the buttons, or you can use any glue that will work on metal. I will leave the entire list of supplies in the description box. This pattern is available for free on my channel. If you like this pattern, do consider purchasing the PDF pattern from my Ravelry store. That is a great way to support me and will help me to keep making more free content. You can find the link to my Ravelry store in the description box. Let's begin with the yoke. Start by making a slip knot. And make a chain 18. I will be working row 1 into the loops behind the chain, as I like the finishing that it gives. So skip the very first chain and make one single crochet into the second chain. Make another single crochet into the next chain. So we have 2 single crochet here. We're going to make the first increase in this row. So I will be making 1 increase into each of the next 2 chains. 1 and 2. That's our first increase. 1 and 2. That's the second increase. Make 1 single crochet into the next chain. And we will be making 2 increases again. 1 and 2. That's our first increase. And 1 and 2. This is the second increase. Now make 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to make increases again. 1, I'll be making 2 increases again. So 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And make 1 single crochet into the next chain. And we're going to increase again. 1 2, that's the first increase, and another increase into the very next chain. 1, 2. So if you've been getting your count right, you should have 2 chains left. Make 1 single crochet into each of those remaining chains. 1, and that's the very last chain, and 2. So you can already see the shape of the yoke forming. So this will be the back, and this will be the front, and these two will be the sleeves. So at the end of row 1, you should be having 25 single crochet, chain 1 and turn. On row 2, begin by making 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 single crochet. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to make increases again. 1 increase in each of the next 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Make 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 single crochet. 1, 2, and 3. So we're at the next corner, so we'll make 2 increases again. 1 and 2. So here's our first increase at this corner. 1 and 2. So that's a second increase. And at the front of the yoke, we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're at the next corner now. So we're going to increase in each of the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, make another increase in the next stitch. 1 and 2. Make 1 stitch in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. So we've reached the last corner. So we're going to make 1 increase in each of the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. So you should be left with 3 stitches. Make 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. It can be very easy to miss that last stitch over there, but make sure you get your count right. And there's my very last single crochet. At the end of row 2, you should be having 33 single crochet, and this is how the yoke looks right now. So chain 1 and turn. Let's go into row 3. Chain 1 and turn your work. So we'll begin this row by making 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're at the first corner. So make 1 increase in each of the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here are our 2 increases. I'm going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're at the next corner. I'm going to make 1 increase in each of the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, 1, and 2. So we're at the front of the yoke now. Make 1 single crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We've reached the next corner, which means we will be increasing again. So we're going to make 1 increase in each of the next 2 increases. 1, 2, 1, and 2. Now make 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're at the last corner in this row. So we're going to make 1 increase in each of the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You should be left with 4 stitches. Make 1 single crochet into each of those stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at the end of row 3, you should have 41 stitches. So I'm sure you've noticed by now. So in each row, we are making 8 increases, 2 at each corner. Let's go on to row 4. In row 4, we'll be separating the sleeves. So chain 1 and turn. make 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we're gonna skip 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and insert your hook into the 10th stitch. And you're gonna make 1 single crochet in each of the next 11 stitches. So 11 stitches including the stitch I just made. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna skip the next 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm gonna go insert my hook into the 10th stitch. I'm gonna make 1 stitch in each of the next 6 stitches. 2, so the end of row 6 you should have 23 single crochet, and we've also separated the sleeves, so your yoke should be looking like this right now. Chain 1 and turn. So the next 5 rows are just going to be even rows. You're going to make 1 stitch into each stitch. So I'm going to pause this video right now. I'm going to go make 5 rows. Just make chain 1, 23, chain 1, 23. Just keep working back and forth for the next 5 rows. And I will show you what the yoke looks like after 5 rows. So this is what the yoke looks like at the end of row 9. At this point, you might want to put it on your doll and make sure that it fits. I'm happy with how it fits around the doll, and you want it to overlap just a little bit so that you can add buttons later. So this is how it looks right now. If you are enjoying this video, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget that notification bell so that you do not miss any new content. Let's go on to the skirt now. So the skirt is worked in DCs, and when we're making DC rows, we will use a turning chain of chain 3. In this pattern, the chain 3 does not count as a separate stitch. So let's turn. This is row number 10 that we're working on now. This is how we'll be working this row. So we'll be working this row in the back loops only. Make an increase into the first stitch. Like I mentioned earlier, the chain turn does not count as a stitch, so we're going to make 2 DC into that very first stitch. So we have an increase here and make 1 DC into the next stitch. We're going to continue doing this for the rest of the row. So make an increase and 1 DC, increase 1 DC. So we basically be increasing in every alternate stitch. So I'm going to pause the video and finish this row off camera, and then I'll come back and see you at the end of this row. At the end of row 10, this is what the dress looks like. So we've been making an increase, 1 DC, increase 1 DC throughout this row. And at the end of this row, you should be having 35 DCs. Row 11 will also be an increase row. So chain 3 and turn. This is the turning chain, it does not count as a stitch. So make 1 DC into each of the next 2 DCs, 1 and 2. Now make 1 DC, 1. Now make a DC increase into the next stitch, 1 and 2. So this is how the rest of this row will be worked. 1 DC in each of the next 2 DCs, and then make a DC increase, 1 and 2. So if you can see here, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this row off camera, and I will meet you at the end of this row. So after the last increase, I'm left with 2 DC. I'm gonna go ahead and make 1 DC into each of those stitches. So after this, they're only even rows, so 1 DC in each DC. You can go as long as you want or as short as you want your dress to be. I am gonna go ahead and make 8 more rows because that's how long I want the gown to be. So I will make 8 more rows, and then I will come back and meet you at the end of this row. So I've made 8 even rows. That was row 12 to row 19. The end of row 19, this is what the dress looks like. I'm happy with how it looks. So I'm going to do the last row for the skirt, which will be the edging row. So to do that, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. And then make 1 DC into the same stitch. Now skip 1 stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch. So we made 1 scallop. I'm going to go ahead and continue doing that. So chain 2, DC into the same stitch, skip 1 and slip stitch. I'm going to show you one more time before I finish this row off camera. So chain 2, DC into the same stitch, skip 1 stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this row, and then I will show you how to finish off this cut. I have completed this row of scallops. I'm going to go ahead and fasten off, leaving a long tail that I will use later to sew the sides. I know that at the beginning of this video I told you I'll be using seed beads, but then I found these pretty pearls in my supplies, so I decided to go with them instead. In this dress, I've decided to add the pearls to the scallops at the bottom of this dress. So I'm going to use some scrap yarn. Since there are only 23 scallops, I will only be needing 23 pearls. So I'm going to go ahead and string them onto the thread. I have 24 pearls on my thread. So let's go ahead and attach it. Make a slip knot. I'm gonna get this out of the way so that my camera does not autofocus on the pearls. So we want the pearls to be on the front of the dress, so I'm gonna flip the dress inside out and I'm gonna attach it to the first scallop. So this is the stitch where that last slip stitch was made. I'm gonna make a slip stitch, and if you remember, in this row we skipped one DC, so that's where we're gonna attach the pearl. Insert the hook into the skipped stitch and then bring one of the pearls closer to the hook. So the pearl is going to be right here. Now yarn over and slip stitch. So by slip stitching at the back of the dress, we will trap the pearl in front. Now slip stitch into the same stitch where we made the slip stitch in the previous row while making the edging. And now I'm gonna bring another pearl closer to the hook. Now insert the hook into the next skipped stitch and slip stitch. And this way the pearl gets trapped in front. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this step off camera and I'll show you how it looks. I've completed adding the pearls and this is how it looks now. I really love how it looks. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew in this tail. So this is what it looks like after I've sewn in the tails. Now before I stick the buttons and close the back, I wanna put it onto the doll to make sure it fits properly. I'm happy with how the dress fits. So it's overlapping just the right amount. So I will be using 3 buttons here, here, and here. Please be very careful while doing this. I'm just gonna leave this aside to dry now. Are you enjoying this pattern? Would you be interested in becoming a pattern tester for me? If your answer is yes, do follow at Made with Love by Daisy on Instagram so that you do not miss any new tester calls. While I'm waiting for the dress to dry, I'm gonna make the shoes. So now to make the shoes, thread on one bead before you begin. Make a slip knot and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the first chain and make 3 single crochet into that first chain. 2 and 3. Make 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 chains. 1 and 2. Into that last chain, make 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Make 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 chains. So we're now working on the opposite side of the foundation chain. And into that very first chain, make 2 single crochet. 1 and 2, and slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet. Since I worked over this tail, I'm going to go ahead and trim it. At the end of row 1, you should be having 15 single crochet. Chain 1. Row 2 will be worked back loop only. So make 1 back loop single crochet into each stitch. So I've reached the end of row 2. This is the slip stitch we made at the end of the previous row, so that's not an actual single crochet, so do not work into that. And slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet from the previous row. From row 2. So after you slip stitch in this row, your shoe should automatically start curling up like this. Now let's make row 3. Chain 1, 1 single crochet into each of the first 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The next stitch is going to be a DC3 together, and I'm going to do an invisible decrease. So insert the hook into the front loop only. The first 1, 2, and 3 stitches. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and make a single crochet. Now bring the pearl that we threaded at the beginning of this shoe and make a chain one. So we've trapped the pearl over there, and now I'm going to make another DC tied together. One, two, and three. Pull up a loop and finish that single crochet, and in case the pearl hides behind, just pop it in front and make one single crochet into each of the remaining 4 single crochet. 2, 3, and 4, and that's the slip stitch from the previous row. So I'm going to fasten off using the invisible join method. So to make the invisible join, just pass the needle to the top 2 loops of the first single crochet of this row and insert it back into the last stitch that we just made. And pull this loop tight till it's the same length as the other stitches. So it should now look like this. And I'm going to go ahead and weave in that tail. So here are the shoes. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this pattern. If you make this project, do share your pics with me on Instagram by tagging Made with Love by Daisy. And do subscribe to my channel and check out my other patterns. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, happy hooking!